It is pilot season, so I thought, well, what a perfect conversation to have. Because I've been coaching some people for things, they're testing for it, and then just the whole thing about how do you navigate, okay, how do you navigate through pilot season when, okay, maybe you've tested for 7 different things and you haven't booked any of them. Or maybe you haven't gotten one pilot all year long. Or maybe you've gone to one and you got really bad feedback, but then all of a sudden they call you back for the same thing and you're thinking, well, wait, I just got really bad feedback, so now why am I back here? And then maybe, you know, your agent tells you something that puts you in your head about the next pilot, and then you feel like you crashed and burned. And so how do we, like, move through all the chaos that, that this thing is? And the short answer is, I don't really have an answer for it. Except, you just got to breathe. And actually, that's mindfulness. And you have to be patient, because I know it can be hard sometimes when you hear, oh my God, how is that person testing for 7 things, and I haven't gone out once? And I think you can't try to get into the head of not only that person, but trying to figure out what casting's all about. Because the great irony is, I don't think anybody knows what casting's all about. That's why they throw out a net, and they'll pull, like this person that I coached today, it was interesting. He went in for something, and then he didn't get really good feedback, but then they brought him back. So that's already f***ing with the actor's head. So then they brought him back, and then he did what they wanted, so then he got great feedback. But of course, he could have done that in the room if they had given that the first time, but that didn't happen. And so then they decided it wasn't going to go any further, and so they tested a whole bunch of people, like 8 people. But then today they decided, no, they're going to retest, or they're going to re-bring people back. So now they're bringing him back again straight to producers, possibly to test. That's chaos. So I think at one level, you just have to detach from, it's not personal, because it's not. And it's literally about, as you always hear me talking about, does my essence match a role? And if it doesn't mean they don't like you. It doesn't mean you didn't do a good job. It doesn't mean that you're not talented. It doesn't mean that it won't happen for you at some place along the journey. So that then comes back to this whole thing about, well, what happens if I'm not getting any auditions? Well, I think that's also, I think you have to think of pilot season in terms of, it's what, 3 months out of a 12-month cycle. And your journey as an artist is over many, many, many years. So you can't let the minutia of one tiny year, or 2 years, or 3 years define your entire life. That's the first thing. And that leads to the bigger thing about, you know, how do we try to win our power back and not be defined by the victories or the defeats that are sure to come being an actor? And that's really difficult, because so much is hooked onto the external definition of success. So booking a job, booking a pilot must mean, oh my God, you're amazing and everybody loves you, and not booking it means just the opposite. And obviously none of those things are true. Also, they're not always an arbiter of, you know, talent. That's not to say that there aren't talented people working, but there are also equally many, many talented people who aren't. And that is also, are you in the right place at the right time? Is your essence a match to the role? Is everything kind of coming together with agents or managers? Or maybe you don't have an agent or manager and you find your own way of, like, miracles happen in the business. That's the one thing that I think you can take stock in when you feel like giving up all hope, because it can all turn on a dime. So I think that the important thing to remember is none of it needs to define you.
They say you stand by your man. Tell me something I don't understand. You said you love